In this demonstration, we are going to have a look at how you can change the allocation method in the system. Allocation means that you assign or allocate specific goods to an order that you're about to pick. And depending on which allocation method you have set, you can have different strategies for in which order you will pick goods out of stock. Looking at the order list, we can see which allocation method is active at the moment. By clicking the question mark here, it's possible to see all the different function buttons and how they are set up. Expanding on the allocate function button, we can see which functions will run when we press allocate. So if I expand on this tab here, we can see that first we will do some validation checks. For instance, check if the order is on a pick order. After that, we will check if the order is in the correct status for allocation. And next, there's a large function here that says alloc, and this is the allocation function. Looking at the allocation method set, we can see that right now it is using this allocation method. The first part of the method will filter out which articles are candidates for allocation. So if you have specified, for instance, serial number or batch number on an order line, we would only be allowed to pick that specific serial number or that specific batch number. After that there's an order by here, in which order we should pick the goods out of stock. So it will first try to pick from the article's picking location, and after that it will move on to the expiry date. For instance, if you have a product with expiry date, we want to pick the oldest expiry date first. And lastly, it will default back to FIFO, first in, first out, to pick the oldest item out of stock. If you want to change this allocation method and have a different strategy, I'm going to show you quickly how you can do that. So I'll close this tab here. And on each page in Ongoing, there is a settings button on the left-hand corner of the screen. Clicking this cogwheel down here will open up the settings. If I go in here, we can see which settings are active in the order list. And the top setting here is an alloc function. This is the setting that will run when we press the allocate button. If I edit this setting, we can see on the right hand side here what will happen when we press the allocate button. So first we have these different validation checks to check if an order is not on a pick order, check if the order is in the correct status. And here we can see the allocation method that is running. And if I want to change this allocation method, I can edit this function. This will open up some settings on the right here. And in the drop-down list here of allocation method, we can see which allocation methods are available. So if I expand on this one, we can see that right now filter by order line and serial and batch and so on is set at the moment. But you're free to choose any of the different allocation methods that are available here. In this example, I'm going to change it to another allocation method. Let's choose LIFO, which means last in, first out. I'll change the allocation method and I'll update the function. And looking at the list here, we can now see that the allocation method has now been changed to LIFO. On another note, on the left-hand side here are all the different functions that you could add to a button. So you are able to configure your different buttons to perform functions in a specific order. But for now, we're just going to be satisfied with the allocation method, and I will update the setting to make it active. Update. Going back to the order list, and again, clicking on this question mark here for help and expanding on the allocate function, we can now see that the allocation method has been changed to LIFO here. Next, we are going to inbound some goods, and we are going to allocate it to an order to see that our new allocation method is allocating the newest goods first, last in, first out. So first, I'm just going to find an article here that we have ordered on an order. Here we have a t-shirt, black, I'm going to take that article number with me, and I'm going to inbound some new items of this article. So I'll go to warehouse and receive goods, find the article, and let's inbound 10 pieces and put it to one location, A1, save. Now we inbound 10 pieces to location A1. If I go back to the order, I select the order with the article and press allocate. It should allocate from this location A1, since it's the last location we inbound goods to. Allocate. The order has now changed status from released to allocated. And if we expand on the order, we can also see where we allocated goods from. So down here, we have the goods items on order. And looking at the right here, we can see that we have allocated 8 pieces from A1, which is what was expected. Moving back to the allocation methods, if I go into settings and edit my alloc functions again, among all of these allocation methods, there might be cases where you would need some sort of custom logic for how the goods should be picked out of stock. And in that case, it is possible to set a custom allocation method. And to set this up, you would need to contact your customer responsible developer here at Ongoing. Your customer developer will be able to create custom logic tailored to your specific requirements. That's it for this demonstration. Hope you learned something about setting up allocation methods. Thank you.